From Interior Alaska's most trusted news source, this is the Fbx Evening News.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. More serious charges have been filed against Sultan Friday, the Fairbanks man accused of stabbing his girlfriend Betty Ann Matthews multiple times earlier this month.
Friday was arrested on felony assault charges related to the December 15th stabbing that sent Matthews to Fairbanks Memorial Hospital with life-threatening injuries. A grand jury has indicted Friday on a single count of attempted murder and one count of felony assault. Charging documents allege that Sultan stabbed Matthews 27 times, leaving her with 2 punctured lungs, a laceration to her liver, and multiple stab wounds to the back. Friday told investigating officers the pair were using methamphetamine and drinking alcohol prior to the incident in South Fairbanks. He's scheduled to be arraigned in Fairbanks Superior Court tomorrow afternoon.
High winds and warmer temperatures forecasted this week is putting the Department of Transportation and Public Facilities on high alert in the state. High wind conditions reported to be above 90 miles per hour caused officials to close the Whittier Tunnel on the Portage Highway near Anchorage. The strong winds caused a truck to overturn on the roadway today. In the interior, DOT is keeping an eye on the Richardson Highway for blowing snow and other conditions caused by high winds. Roadways are also being monitored in the interior. The Fairbanks Police Department is warning drivers to slow down and remain cautious as the temperatures increase. Bailey adds that DOT will be placing sand on the roads and also switch to salt brine if streets warm up to above 15 degrees.
People that we're going to have equipment that's out there, they will be laying down sand, especially in slick areas, which are going to be your intersections, your curves, your bridges. That tends to be where ice forms the most. And so people should really be careful around equipment. And so we ask that people stay back 200 feet. That'll prevent the sand from bouncing up and hitting windshields and damaging cars.
There were power outages around the interior today. Residents on the west side of Fairbanks, Esther, and Cripple Creek all reported loss of electricity earlier. The Golden Valley Electric Association, or GVEA, started experiencing small isolated complaints around 8 o'clock this morning. The power outages were caused by the snow melting, which caused trees to droop or fall on power lines. Line crews were sent out and the problem was fixed around 11:40 a.m. GVEA would like to remind everyone that if you see a tree on a power line, make sure to keep your distance and call them immediately.
We had to call out 3 line crews to patrol the lines and find what the problem was that was causing the faults. This warmer weather has caused snow on trees and power lines to get heavy, and they found some trees had fallen into some sections of power line, and they had to remove the trees and then re-energize.
Temperatures began rising this morning and are expected to continue to warm for the rest of the week. And there is a reason. A huge storm with winds emanating from the south near the tropics is helping to transport not only much warmer air into the interior, but also produce near hurricane force winds south of Fairbanks in the Delta Junction region and also in and around the Denali Park area. The winds have been clocked at close to 70 miles per hour, and another storm moving up from the south could generate even stronger winds for the same areas by tomorrow night.
I go to work at 5 in the morning, and by the time I got to work, it was we had steady gusts at about 38 knots, and that's about 45 miles an hour. And then the highest wind that I recorded during my shift today was 68 miles an hour at about 2:05.
But a stronger weather system will be moving through late Tuesday night into Wednesday, and these will bring winds up significantly in the Alaska Range area and Delta Junction area then. And we expect warm temperatures in the Fairbanks area to also continue as we go through the week.
When we come back, a new smoking ban will go into effect after the first of the year, and we'll talk about the repercussions of that.
Also, we begin our review of some of the biggest events of the past year. Tonight, crime took the spotlight with numerous trials that impacted the community. Stay with us. And welcome back. When students return to the University of Alaska Fairbanks campus after the holiday break, they will be coming to a smoke-free campus. Students, staff, and visitors will no longer be allowed to smoke, vape, or use chewing tobacco on university property. Now, the only exception to the rule is that people will be allowed to smoke inside their vehicles. Other campuses in the UA system went to the new policy December 1st.
Alaska State Troopers responded to a North Pole home just before 2 o'clock on Sunday morning following the report of an assault. Their investigation revealed that 47-year-old Tammy Katuri of Fairbanks assaulted an associate with a large glass marijuana pipe and assaulted another person with her fists. Katuri has been charged with 1 count of assault, 3 a Class C felony, and a single count of misdemeanor assault.
There were some major crime stories in the interior during 2015. Monty Bowen looks at a few of them in this report.
One much publicized story of 2015 concerned a man being arrested in connection with the shooting death of a reality TV star. 44-year-old Major Workman was indicted by the grand jury for first-degree murder in the death of James Gatos. Gatos was fatally shot outside his residence at Fox. He had appeared on the show Ultimate Survival, which aired on the National Geographic Channel. There were officer-involved shootings in the interior in 2015. A woman was arrested in connection with shots fired during a police pursuit that left a man dead. 20-year-old Sarah Smoke is facing felony assault and misconduct involving weapons charges. She was accused of shooting at police from a car window. The driver, Vincent Perdue, was shot and killed after reportedly firing multiple shots at officers. The man whose son is accused of shooting and killing 2 Alaska State troopers at Tanana was convicted of tampering with physical evidence in the case. Arvin Kangas was sentenced to 8 years in prison. Superior Court Judge Paul Lyle handed down the sentence, which was the maximum amount of time allowed under the law. Following the arrest of a former UAF hockey player on charges of sexual assault, the university policy on the crime was reviewed. More than 100 people gathered in the Woods Center at UAF to talk about the handling of cases.
The only way we're going to affect change and see significant reductions in the level of sexual assaults, of assaults in general, is if each one of us make that commitment to ourselves that we're going to do something different today than we did yesterday.
Arrests were made in connection with the shooting death of John Kaverlik outside the Rock and Rodeo Bar in Fairbanks.
It involves an arrest in Anchorage, an arrest in Texas, an arrest in Florida, and there's going to be more to come. And my detectives, we have 7, 6 have been working on this case nonstop.
After spending 18 years in prison for the murder of Fairbanks teenager John Hartman, the group of men known as the Fairbanks Four were released from custody after making a deal with the state. City Mayor John Eberhardt said a principal in the case was going to be interviewed in the Hartman murder and the death of a woman on the cold case list.
As part of the Mahogany Davis murder investigation, I've asked Chief Aragon to speak with William Holmes about Mahogany's murder and also the Hartman murder. William Holmes had a child with Mahogany Davis. And, you know, you hear little bits and pieces of information and the name's Holmes and all this come up.
This is Monty Bowen reporting.
All right, Joe Cook is up next with sports and has results from a couple of holiday tournaments featuring interior teams.
All of that plus more sports stories that made 2015 great. Stay with us.
Welcome back, Interior Alaska. I hope you had a great Christmas weekend. Time for Monday's local sportscast. A few interior teams are competing in tournaments during the winter break. The Lathrop and West Valley girls basketball teams are in Phoenix, Arizona for the Cactus Jam Phoenix Hoops Classic. They had their first round games today. Lathrop got a W and a low-scoring 39-33 victory over Mount Si out of Washington State. Jana Hadukovic led the Malamutes with 13 points. Cheyenne Dybert added 8. Head coach David Stewart said via text that his team used their athleticism and speed to get to the basket against a bigger Mount Si team. West Valley found themselves on the bottom side of the scoreboard as they fall 67-45 to Holy Child out of Maryland. Ruthie Hebert had 16 points and 13 rebounds, and Amber Smid added 12 points. The Wolfpack will play at 9 a.m. tomorrow, and Lathrop advances to the 10:45 a.m. quarterfinals. For the boys, Lathrop is in San Diego for the Surf and Slam tournament. They lost a close game, 37-35 to Lake Stevens out of Washington State. The Mutes played solid defense, drawing 7 charges, but not quite enough. Jeremiah Handy led Lathrop with 8 points. Lathrop plays at 9:30 a.m. on Tuesday. Now, as far as hockey goes, the Fairbanks Arctic Lions U16 AA team is in Richmond, British Columbia for the Richmond International Hockey Tournament. This is a Bantam and Midget tournament, and their first game on Sunday in Midget Tier 1 bracket. The Arctic Lions lost 7-1 to Siri. Adam Victorino scored the lone goal for the Arctic Lions. Fairbanks, they will play Cloverdale in their second round matchup later today. 2015 was a special year for the sport of dog mushing in the interior. The two biggest races in the mushing world came right through the Golden Heart City. Here's a look back at the Yukon Quest and the Iditarod. On February 16th, a new Yukon Quest champion was crowned. Brent Sass of Eureka, Alaska strolled into downtown Fairbanks on the Chena River, crossing the finish line with 12 dogs at 10:52 p.m. to hundreds of cheering Quest fans. This is the first Yukon Quest title for Sass, who passed two-time defending champion Alan Moore in the last leg of the race, with lead dog Basin taking charge.
It's pretty amazing. I got an awesome dog team down there. It's real proud of those 12 dogs down there. This is fun, isn't it? I told him, and we both smiled, and I went on by, and he stuck with me for a little ways, and then I was gone. Yeah, the future's real bright. I got 25 puppies at home right now that are all 7, 8 months old that my handlers are training up, so the future is very bright for Wild and Free.
The runner-up, Alan Moore, came in at 12:06 a.m. Tuesday, February 17th. He was greeted by his wife, Allie Zirkle, the SP Kennel Crew, and Sass himself. Despite not getting the three-peat, the Arkansas native and Two River resident has been either champion or second place in the last 4 quests.
I thought it could have been just like it was 2 years ago, where they really rocked. I mean, like Brent's team did this year, and I thought my team would be that team, but it wasn't to be. And I mean, I had a few diarrhea, this, that, and the other, but maybe that played a part, and who knows? They just didn't have it this year.
So after not ending the 2014 race, which he led due to an injury from a run-in with a moose, Sass overcame that heartbreak, another moose encounter this year, and had to come back in the last leg, trailing Moore by 2 minutes to get his first Yukon Quest victory. Sass wins $24,061 and collects 4 ounces of gold for being the first to Dawson and finishing the race. An elated Sass is truly running wild and free. In March, the Super Bowl of dog mushing, the Iditarod, had its restart in Fairbanks. It's just the second time in the race's 42-year history that it restarted in the interior. The last time was in 2003. Snow levels were low in crucial parts of the trail, which is why the restart was in Fairbanks. The trail was 19 miles shorter, and interior checkpoints were in Inanna, Manly Hot Springs, Tanana, Huslia, and Koyukuk. The official restart for the 43rd Iditarod began on Hoselton Road right in front of Pike's Landing. Thousands of people came out in near 0-degree temps. Shuttles were filled to capacity and made frequent trips for onlookers and mushing fans. One fan remembers 2003 and compares the 2 restarts.
It's a little more cramped up here by the road, but no, it's about the same.
It's awesome. It's our first time. Just seeing everyone get together, it's nice to have everyone come out. The dogs are awesome.
Dallas CV crossed the Iditarod finish line in Nome on March 18th with a total time of 8 days, 18 hours, and 13 minutes. Dallas mushed his way to the top of the field and held a sizable lead as he passed through the last several checkpoints. His father, Mitch, was the runner-up. Dallas wins his 3rd Iditarod in 4 years and became the 5th musher to repeat as Iditarod champion. Some great moments there, and that'll do it for sports tonight. Thanks for watching. Mike Schultz is next with your full weather forecast, and we'll catch you next time.
Hey everyone, welcome back into a Monday night edition of the Fbx Evening News. Mike Schultz with you once again talking about the weather. Hope you had yourself a great Christmas weekend. The weather was fairly cooperative. It chilled down a little bit, but then things are warming up. And you folks in Delta Junction, Healy, beware. We have some really nasty weather coming your way. We'll tell you more about that in just a little bit. Now, our photograph for tonight, this one from Bruce Grossman, who lives down that area, was able to capture the sun rays coming over Mount Hayes. It rhymes, doesn't it? Anyway, a beautiful shot there. Once again, you can see the beams of light coming over across the mountains there. And as always, if you have a photograph to share, send it to photos at ktvf11.com. Your numbers, today's high 24, the low last night 14 below, current temperatures 15 above, record high 40 in 1982, 62 below in 1961. Joe's just shaking his head. He can't fathom that temperature. Sunrise and sunset, 3 hours and 50 minutes, a gain of 2 minutes from yesterday. It's always nice to say game now. On the satellite and radar, you can see one frontal system moving out of the picture, another one working its way up from the south. This one has got a long connection all the way down to the tropics, bringing that warm air, but it's also tied into a jet stream, which is like a garden hose just aimed at the state. That means the winds are going to really be picking up starting tomorrow afternoon and evening and really be blowing just like a hurricane force winds. This doesn't happen very often, but they're going to be there tomorrow, so we've got to keep an eye on that. Elsewhere across the state over southeast Alaska, we have quite a bit of freezing precipitation going on there, and the map you can see showing that it is things have cleared out over southeast Alaska now. 31 degrees at Juneau, and cloudy skies at Ketchikan, also 31. Anchorage looking at partly cloudy skies, 34. They're looking at strong winds developing tomorrow also. Kodiak Island, 41 showers over the southwest part of the state. You can see Cold Bay at 34 degrees, cloudy skies. And then over the west coast, looking at 18 degrees at Nome, but 32 at Bethel. And up in the North Slope, just the opposite, 13 below at Barrow. Fort Yukon, 8 degrees below zero. Lower 48 weather, I'm sure you heard about all they've had over the weekend. It has just been a really horrendous amount of weather. It was tornadoes and ice storms and snow, wind, and you can see it's still working its way back up toward the Great Lakes. This is the frontal boundary that caused all the grief for the folks over Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. Also Mississippi and Alabama getting in there. 43 fatalities weather-related over the weekend. Not a good Christmas there. Over the Pacific Northwest, getting ready for another frontal boundary coming in. That storm system that was causing all the grief over the weekend is working its way toward the Great Lakes now, so a lot of winter storm warnings across much of this area, looking at quite a bit of snowfall. Could be as much as a foot in the Minneapolis area, and it'll work its way into Chicago too, with a mix of freezing rain and sleet. Just really not nice there. Now the jet stream is going to take a little bit of a different track this next week. As you can see, it's going to bubble up over the western side of the country, which means warmer temperatures, drying out, and then moving across the Great Lakes, pulling down that cold air and bringing some snow showers there. Yes, snow even to Buffalo, New York, finally. Now, as far as our weather fact for today, guess what? In 1955, Anchorage was buried under 17 inches of snow, 17 and a half to be exact. And that's one of their highest amounts ever, as you can well imagine. Again, thanks to Mount McKinley Bank for sponsoring our kids' weather. And speaking of the kids are off for vacation, but the class from Salsha Elementary will be joining us next week as our guests. Here's what's going on across the rest of the state. Over the northern sections, mostly cloudy in Barrow tomorrow. A couple inches of snow for Nome. Snow showers expected at Fort Yukon. Here in the interior, looking at the winds. That's the key factor. Wind warnings up. We'll tell you about that in just a little bit. Over the southeast sections, over the Juneau and Ketchikan area, rain and snow at Juneau and just showers likely at Ketchikan. Over the southwest part of the state, looking at rain and snow at Cold Bay and Bethel, and rain likely for Kodiak. And more wind expected over the south central regions. Anchorage looking at a high wind warning for tomorrow night. Showers at Homer, and rain and snow in Valdez. Now, talking about that wind, here's what it looks like. High wind warning is in effect for tonight or tomorrow night through Wednesday for Healy and Delta Junction. Dangerous winds could develop tomorrow night with 40 to 60 mile per hour winds with gusts to 80 miles per hour. Obviously, travel is not advised. It's going to be really nasty down there. Blowing and drifting snow, very much a big problem. Tonight, looking at 9 degrees, the overnight low, cloudy skies with above normal temperatures continuing. Tomorrow, 26 for the high. Mostly cloudy, continue very mild temperatures. And the extended forecast right on through New Year's, looking at temperatures way above normal for this time of year. Might even see a few flakes of snow on New Year's Eve day. And then after that, we're looking at temperatures continuing for the next 10 days, way above normal, and no big storms to talk about except for the wind. It's going to be howling tomorrow over the Delta Junction and Healy areas.
It was also howling today near Anchorage. I saw some photos of semis tipped over and all sorts
Had to close the Whittier Tunnel. That was pretty bad. And they're going to get winds again tomorrow up to 80 miles an hour on the hillside there in the Anchorage area. So,
well, they keep saying hurricane-like winds, but I mean, really, what kind of hurricane, what category would
75 mile an hour is a minimum, a Category 1 hurricane.
Category 1 hurricane.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they're going to be really, really nasty.
Wow.
But on a positive note, our temperatures are all in the positive. So
yeah, we're getting the benefits of it. The Alaska Range is blocking out the precipitation from getting in here. We're just getting the warm air and no snow in the forecast.
And strange that we don't have wind here locally in Fairbanks area.
Yeah.
So.
Well, by the time it gets here, it's all fanned out, so it's not nearly as strong. You still get some in the higher elevations around the, like Murphy Dome.
Right.
Those areas, though.
But it is amazing. I remember, what was it, 1999, year 2000, it was 45 below on New Year's Eve. So it's a difference.
Well, you saw the record's 61 below.
Yeah.
Ooh.
This date.
I will take today's temperatures over that.
Very
Absolutely.
much so.
Day that happens, that'll be my last day.
Oh, it will. All right, thanks, Mike. That will wrap up this edition of the Fairbanks Evening News. We are glad you could join us.
And tonight on NBC Nightly News, of course, a massive storm system has left a trail of destruction over the southwest and the deep south over the weekend. Lester Holt's up next with all the details.
You can join us here 6 days a week at 6 and 11 or online anytime at webcenter11.com.
All right, from all of us here at the News Center, have a good night.
Good night.